This show is proudly supported by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC reptile enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for a new PVC reptile enclosure or other reptile accessories. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. We'd like to thank our podcast sponsor, Bay, reimagining reptile keeping through innovation. They combine quality, design and function to create high-end 3D printed reptile products. And if you've got a unique setup or problem, they'll craft a custom solution made just for you. Check them out on Instagram at Bay. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. G'day and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp with Joe Mack. Today's episode number 52, and I'm joined by Kira from Lake Mack Zoo. How are you, Kira?
I'm great. How are you going today?
Really well, thanks. We're having too much fun in the pre-recording conversation. We got carried away there for a bit. Tends to always happen.
Yeah, we covered half of what we need to cover.
Yeah, literally. I think part of it was making a game plan, but half of it was just having a chat. But yeah, I guess started off how I normally do, and just ask you about your journey with reptiles, or maybe just the industry as a whole might be a better question for you.
Yeah, for sure. I have got a bit of a weird introduction into reptiles. Like growing up, I was an animal fanatic. Anything animals, anyone who knew me knew that I was working with animals when I was older. I didn't know what exactly. Like I knew I didn't want to be a vet. That was I don't like needles. I don't like animals in pain. That's where I drew the line. But I just wanted to be with animals in any way. I had reptiles growing up. I had guinea pigs, chickens, rabbits, everything. And then around year 9, year 10, I started doing marine studies and I fell in love with the ocean, got my dive cert, free dove, scuba dive, everything like that. And decided that marine was where I was going to stick with it. And then straight after school, I graduated during COVID. So I had like that weird, couldn't really do much. I was going to go down to Tasmania to do uni, to do Antarctica marine studies. So my goal was always work in Antarctica. Didn't get there, but that's fine. But yeah, I went to work in Antarctica and then I took a gap year from uni and did some volunteer work at a few different places. So around like Lake Macquarie, and ended up working with sharks and stingrays and fell in love with working with like marine life in general. Did that for I think 3 or 4 years. Loved it, but could not stand the cold. I can't do the cold. I realized Antarctica was not going to work. So I loved being in industry. I had really good experiences and everything, and kind of had to switch from being in a water role where it was cold all the time, and figured the warmest thing I could pick was a reptile. And just stuck with it from then. Had always loved them. But I think what drew me to them the most was I realized while working with sharks and stingrays, I love working with animals that a lot of people are afraid of. Like I like the opportunity to change someone's mind. My favorite thing is someone coming up to me and telling me they don't like snakes. I'm like, okay, cool. Where can we go from here? How can
Let's
I
break it down?
Yeah. How can we like them? So that really drew me into reptiles. And then I met Chris, who also helps me run Lake Mack Zoo. And yeah, it was just perfect fit. Realized I love talking to kids, especially about reptiles, and just stuck with it from there. And now I've been working with reptiles for, I think, almost 5 years, which is crazy. I literally just turned 24, so that's weird to think. But yeah, working with them for 5 years, run a mobile zoo, which is something I never thought I'd do, and teach people all over like New South Wales all about reptiles, which is sick. It's awesome.
It's very awesome, and I would definitely love to talk about how that mobile zoo operates. But it's interesting how you mentioned people always coming up to you in this industry. People come up to you and talk about snakes almost always, and they're so polarizing. for the average punter. So people either love snakes or they hate them, and there's very rarely is someone indifferent about them. And
100%.
you totally take that on as a bit of a challenge when people say they hate them or they don't like them. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, tell us about how Lake Mac Zoo works.
It's awesome. So pretty much we are a fully mobile wildlife education business focusing on reptiles with venomous snakes being like our major focus. It all came about, we realized there was a massive gap. Like people were teaching industry personnel, so mining companies, electrical engineers, construction mobs about venomous snakes, and people were teaching adults about venomous snakes, but no one was teaching kids. And that seemed like kind of the most important age bracket to teach about snakes. Like they're the ones who need to know to stay away from them or kind of what to do if you see them. And that's how it came about. So we pretty much took that and decided, why can't we take a taipan into a school? And DPI
There's
definitely
probably
had
a few reasons. Yeah.
yeah, DPI definitely had some things to say about it. So it took a while, but eventually we convinced them that our snake pit was secure enough to get into schools. And yeah, now we are one of, I think, maybe 3 exhibitors in Australia that can take a coastal taipan or an inlet taipan into a school, which letting kids have the opportunity to see that is one of the coolest experiences, especially because the front of our pit is clear. So you get like kids smushing their faces up against it, like
Oh,
face to face
gross.
with the ground snake. Looks hilarious from the inside. But they're fully like involved in it and just look so fascinated by it being able to like get licked by a snake, but it's just there, like there's a glass in between. It's one of the
Yeah.
coolest things to see.
I feel like offering that experience for kids is like real life core memory stuff for a lot of kids to get that
Really.
close to a snake, as potentially dangerous as they are or whatever. But I'm interested so the DPI had to give you like some sort of specific endorsement to be able to get into schools or be around children, I guess.
Yeah. So pretty much it started out like Chris is the genius behind it. He did a lot of the paperwork. But obviously there's rules, there's regulations, you've got to follow all these things. And it was pretty much, okay, what's stopping us from taking a taipan into a school? And they said, well, you need a pit that's this tall, secured using this. Snakes can't escape. You've got to carry it in this type of thing. You need a trailer or a canopy that can house the animals. It's got to be locked, secure. And we pretty much got a list and we just went through and ticked everything off the list and figured out every time we'd submit it, they'd say, oh, you need to do this as well. And we'd say, all right, we'll figure it out. So there was a lot of like back and forth of like fixing little things and making sure it was all safe, because the last thing you want to do is lose a snake or have a kid get bit. That would be horrible, which luckily I've been doing this for about 5 years. Clean track record. Chris has been in
I would
industry.
hope so.
Yeah. Chris has been in industry for about 20 years and he's never had an incident. So hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully I haven't just jinxed us all. But
Yeah,
it's
touch wood
like,
somewhere.
yeah. There's none in this room. I'll have to go into an enclosure. Um, but yeah, so it's definitely, there was a lot of hoops to jump through, but it was worth it. 100% worth it.
Yeah, okay. So do schools make up like a pretty big majority of the sort of business that you're doing?
Originally they did. So schools were a massive part of it. We were doing, yeah, a lot of school shows. There's been like some budget cuts in terms of government took a lot of the funding away from schools. I think the amount they took was crazy. It was like 147 million or something to public education, which did result in a massive hit, obviously, to our business. So from then we started investigating other avenues. So obviously there's birthday parties. Like back when I was a kid, all I wanted was a snake at my birthday party. And being able to be the one who takes a snake now is cool. Obviously not venomous snakes, just the friendlies, but still fun. And then we realized that like agricultural shows were really cool because we got to travel, or we get to travel all over New South Wales and teach people who are actually around snakes. So I live in Lake Macquarie. We do a lot of shows around Lake Macquarie or Sydney. People don't see snakes. They're city slickers. There's no snakes around. But like getting to go out to like Tamworth, like Canamble, um, all around Dunedoo, Merriwa, Gunnedah, all those places and teach them about snakes where they see them, they live with them and everything. That is like really cool. And you have some amazing conversations with people. Like out there, they're one of two ways. They're either grown up on the land, have no problem with snakes, are like, yeah, there's a brown snake in my like backyard. It comes and goes as it pleases. Or they hate snakes. And that's when I like to have a nice chat with them and
Yeah.
figure out where we can change this. That's
Yeah.
kind of my favorite thing. So yeah, it's
Before
the
we go too far, I'm
it's
just thinking about if any of my international listeners thinking about what the hell kind of names of places you just mentioned.
there's
Dunedoo, Gunnedah. Sounds pretty normal for us, but there may be some international listeners out there with some question marks.
so many
But
consonants.
I see those you see the odd story on Facebook. Someone's like, "Oh yeah, this is the tiger snake that lives under my deck or something," and like that's so cool, like amazing. And as we were talking just before we started recording, I grew up in a little country town too, and I can assure you, though I wasn't aware of anyone with those sorts of relationships, and it was most
Yeah,
certainly. Yeah, you would face some significant challenges trying to convince those people that
definitely.
snakes aren't evil.
Definitely. Yeah. The good news is it's becoming more common for people to kind of have a better association. Even like in the 5 years I've been doing it, from when I started to now, I'm seeing a decrease in the I hate snakes. And the cool thing is like now it shows people always make the comments, only good snakes, a dead snake, get the shovel. But instead of like when I first started, that you'd get 10 people saying that at a show. Nowadays, someone says it and the rest of the crowd almost judges them for it. They're like, why would you
Boo!
say that?
Yeah,
I wish they did that. But yeah,
yeah,
it's more of a everyone looks at them and goes, why would you say that? And it's like,
yeah,
cool. It's changing. Like we're
yeah. That's
getting
awesome.
there.
That's amazing. You could
It's
almost put
awesome.
that down to you guys, maybe, if you keep returning to the same spot. And
Look, I
uh,
wish I could take the credit, but I think there's a lot of people
you can.
involved. I think there's a
Um,
lot of people who have been out there educating, and luckily nowadays, yeah, there's so much more knowledge and education out there that people can make their own assumptions. You don't just
yeah.
have to follow what you're told.
Yeah, and I think half the time when people come up to you and they tell you their story about a snake and it's, they shoveled it or it was massive and it got hit, whatever it was. I think that half the
Yeah.
time it's like human nature. It's someone trying to find a story that they have that you can associate with, but they don't
I said
usually
the same
they
thing.
yeah, they often don't realize that, hey, I really love snakes. I don't particularly want to hear the story about how you shoveled one, but
Yeah.
maybe I just see the good in people, but I
No,
just think half the time it's them just trying to tell you a story that you
they
can
wanna relate.
assimilate with, I guess.
I
Yeah,
100% agree. Like, we go to all
yeah,
these towns, and the first thing people come up and tell me is, "I killed a snake the other day." And
yeah,
obviously I'm like, "Okay, that's not what I wanna hear." But they're just trying to relate. Like,
yeah,
that's the
totally, and
interaction with them. That's how they
yeah,
see you. Like,
yeah,
I think
and
it's
if
lovely. They're trying to get a conversation started.
yeah, that's right, and it's then your responsibility, I think, if you are trying to get them to actually like snakes, to allow that conversation to then happen instead of being like, "Oh, well, why did you shovel it? That wasn't a very good thing
Yeah.
to do." And if you do that sort of stuff, that's what gets the people to really shut down. But if they were genuinely starting to open that conversation, well, you just closed it pretty quick.
Yeah, and, like, I'm very lucky. I'm a very positive person. It's why I do so well with kids and everything, but I anytime someone comes up and tells me any story about a snake, whether it's they killed it or a good story, it's an opportunity. It's a conversation. Like, I've had people come up and tell me they hate snakes, tell me they kill them. That's how they've grown up. And if you take the time to chat with them, I've had times where I've spent an hour after my show still talking to them and like showing them snakes and everything. And they have left being like, that was the coolest experience. I now like snakes. Or like taking
Yeah,
someone from not wanting to pat one to, I might go home and buy a snake. And I'm like, okay, maybe
yeah,
think
that's
about it a
awesome.
little bit more. But
Yeah.
like, I like the chat we're on.
Yeah, and I think too you can pretty quickly gauge the person's intention when they are telling you that stuff. Like if you've got some old codger that comes up and goes, yeah, I kill snakes all the time, you're probably not going to change his mind, so you don't
Yeah, yeah. You can
bother
figure out
wasting
who
your
you can
energy.
work with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you got any like standout stories of like something that someone's told you at a show and you're just like, nah, like that's crazy.
Ah, I think I've got two really awesome stories. The first one was kind of the most I felt like in that moment, I was like, I'm doing the right thing. Like, this is amazing. We did a nursing home. So we did a show out at a nursing home in Gunnedah. So pretty country town. There was this lady, I think she was 95 or something. Like she was an old lady. She was lovely.
Jeepers.
Yeah, yeah. But she grew up when antivenom wasn't as accessible. Snakebite first aid wasn't as good as it is now. And she grew up terrified of snakes. Like her whole association was, I need to be scared of these animals. She grew up on big property, lots of browns, everything like that. And she hated snakes, had grown up that way. And that's fair because back then they didn't have access to the first aid we have now. So there was a proper reason to be scared of snakes. Nowadays, you've got first aid, you've got ambulance, you've got a hospital, you're going to be okay. But yeah, she had grown up this way. And I don't know, well, for the people who are watching, you can see I've got my green trees in the back, my green tree pythons.
Me too.
Um, yeah, there you go. Sick. Prettiest snake. But we were chatting with
Agree.
her and she didn't want a bar of the diamond python, didn't want to be near like anything. I brought out the green tree and her face immediately changed. And like she was patting it, she was holding it, and she went from this closed off hate snakes person to just amazed by the way they move. And I truly believe that a green tree python is the only snake possible of making that change because they are so
Yeah,
pretty. Like
they are.
it's
Yeah.
one of the main reasons we take them everywhere is people are somewhat shallow or kind of focused on visuals. You give them a snake that's brown or, black or spotty or anything, they look at it as a snake. Whereas you give them something fluoro green and pretty, and suddenly you can convince them that they want to pat it. So that was a really cool experience. Like that was leaving that day was like when we walked out, I like the whole way home, just massive smile. I was like, that was cool. That was
Yeah.
worth every single moment.
That's super fulfilling, and it probably goes to show you're not going to win everybody over with a coastal taipan. I think
I get
uh, actually, I think a green python is what won my mum over too. I had a few other snakes, and then when I got a little yellow green python,
when they
she
yeah.
said it was cute, and that was a big win.
Yeah.
And then it
Sick.
just exploded from there, the whole reptile thing. But it's interesting, I guess, in what you do. Well, your animals are essentially a tool in a way. They're a tool for education,
Yeah.
and for the case of that 95-year-old lady, you tried all the tools in the toolbox, and then you had to go for the big guns, which is a green
Brought out
python.
all reliable.
Yeah, old faithful.
Yeah, had to
Um,
bring it out.
Now, having a look through your socials, I noticed that there's a scrub python that you guys utilize
Yeah.
in shows as well. How does that go?
I love him. His name's Kevin. Well, we've got two. We have Kevin and Mary. They're named after Chris's grandparents, so
Nice.
I'm sure they're happy about that. But Kevin has taught me so much about snakes. Funnily enough, he's probably my favorite snake I work with, but he was also the first snake that ever bit me. He was like my first bite ever, which taught me a lot. So I was pretty fresh in terms of reptiles. I'd grown up with pet reptiles, but they were children's pythons or spotteds or diamonds and like little ones. So nothing crazy big. I had heard of scrub pythons, didn't know much about them in terms of industry. So I didn't know that they're known for being feisty and like
The
not many
reputation.
people. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know their reputation of like you don't hold a scrubby.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's kind of a nice way to go in, because then
it
you
was
can just
really
take it as it
nice.
comes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. And back when I was first learning with Kevin, he's probably only about 2 meters, and he was quite skinny. Like not as thick as he is now. Now he's a chunky man. He probably weighs
As
about
they are, yeah.
yeah, he's over 3.5 meters now, and he weighs about 8 kilos, and he's still growing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was manageable when I first met him. And because I didn't know much, I just treated him like any other python. Like he was round my neck, he was round my head, all my arms, everything. And I hadn't had a problem with him until this one day. It was the first day that Chris had kind of said, "All right, you're on your own." Speak of the devil, he's just walked in. The first day that Chris had said, "I'm on my own with Kevin," and he's waving. I'm telling the Kevin story. But yeah, the first day where I'd kind of be left on my own with Kevin, it was you run the race, see how it goes. And I was letting him do whatever he wanted. It was around my head and everything. I actually have a photo of right before he bit me and then straight after, which is funny. Um, and I just had him, and I made the mistake. I moved my hand really fast past his face, and he bit me twice on the hand, and then that was it. He let go. He was completely chill after that. It was just a random series of events where I moved fast. I found out the next day that he was going blue. So I came out the next day and he was blue, and I was like, okay,
Ah, yes.
that didn't help. So he was already a bit touchy. Um, but in that moment, I realized we call it Mount Stupidity. So it's when you get pretty good at something really, really fast. You get very confident, and suddenly you're at the top of Mount Stupidity, and eventually you've got to fall. And Kevin was my nosedive off the mountain. Like Kevin
Yeah.
was, when I got bit, that was okay. I need to slow things down. I need to
Yeah.
take my time. I need to learn a lot more than I do now. So he has taught me so much, and taking a scrubby to a show is so cool. Like people love him. And when you tell them he's a baby, like he's 7 years old now, he's 3.5 meters. So he's got 2, if not more meters of growing to go. Like when you tell people that is awesome. They love a
Yeah.
scrubby. It's very cool.
Do people down there even know, have they heard of a scrub python before?
Not
Not
really.
really?
So you would have grown
Yeah.
up with them, which is I'm very jealous of
Pretty
that.
much.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know what a scrubby was until I got into the reptile industry. Now I think they're an awesome snake. I've been on like 2, 3 trips up Cape trying to find them. I found one baby that was like a yearling, and that's all I ever found, which is
Oh,
devastating.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, not many people know what they are. So we usually start the show with Kevin. We have him out. He's a really good crowd drawer because everyone sees a massive snake and goes, "I'll come
Massive
over."
snake. Yeah. Yeah, that'll
Yeah,
work.
yeah. What's going on there? And they come over, and so many people are like, "Is it a carpet python? What is it?" Like, it's a very confusing snake. It starts the questions, and then I'm sure you've seen, but when you put a scrub python in the sun, their scales are gorgeous. Like they're prisms, so they refract the light, and it just makes this gorgeous rainbow sheen, and they just look like
Yeah.
the most beautiful snake in the world. And it's really cool that we get to take a scrubby, like we can take it to schools and stuff. Like it's awesome that that animal is so calm. I have worked with him quite a lot since the one day I got bit. But yeah, nothing's ever
Yeah.
happened since, which is great.
Good. It sounds like you got off pretty easily by that.
Definitely. In terms of scrubby, yeah. I had like a
Yeah.
bruised hand. I went home to my mum and she was like, "Okay, maybe we should change industries." And I was like,
Yeah.
"No."
How about you just change your entire career?
Yeah. Honestly, I think at that point she wanted me to go back to the shafts. But I was like, "No."
Yeah. It's
But
it's very cool to see that a snake that is somewhat, I don't know, not maligned in the industry, because I think they're mostly worthy of their reputation, at least in my experience. But
everyone I've met, yeah. Kevin's a
it goes to
one-off.
show that, yeah, a bit of effort put in as well, and they can be that way. But I don't know. I don't know. I've never been one to try to bother about having a reptile that's handleable. I've always sort of just been
Yeah.
like, oh. whatever personality they have, that's
That's
what they
them.
have. I'm not gonna work on it. But obviously, you have to act accordingly with each different animal. I've got a series of,
Definitely.
you could have 10 of the same species, and they all have the different personalities, and you all have to,
Yeah, for sure.
manage them individually. I'm rambling now. Um,
Not at all.
so you've done a fantastic job with your marketing on your Instagram, I would say. Um,
Thank you. I finished a TAFE degree, a diploma in marketing and communications. It taught me a little bit, so I'm getting
yeah.
there.
Well, awesome. Yeah, yeah. So I guess what did you take away from that, and how have you applied it to what you do with Lake Max's Instagram?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I I'm gonna be honest. I hated every moment of that TAFE course. I
Good.
can't even sugarcoat it. It was not for me. I did it fully online, so I don't think that helped. I'm very much
Mm,
I like to be in person when I learn, but
yeah.
I just needed um something. So I was already doing majority of like Maxu's marketing, and we realized we really needed to step it up to the next level. So a diploma was going to help me quite a bit. And I did take a lot from it in terms of, finding your target market, finding your niche, getting the name out there and everything. And it taught me heaps, and it has helped us a lot. Like the amount of cold calls I have done is insane.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but really effective. So like we do a lot of preschool shows, and you send an email and they're never looking at their emails, but you give them
Oh,
a
of
quick
course.
ring, you say, "Hey, you want a crocodile?" And they go, "Yeah, of course. We'll book you in right now." So I got really good at cold calls really quickly. It also sent me a little bit insane because for like 6 hours a day, I'm just sitting in this room in dead silence, saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but it definitely helped with my confidence of like talking to randoms. That was great. But yeah, it was a course I definitely won't do again, but it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot in terms of marketing. So it was definitely worth it. And it has
Well,
helped us, yeah, create something that people can come to and help us teach more. It's everything we do on socials is just to get more information out there. Like
yeah,
that's
it's very effective. Your Instagram, both your travel content Instagram and your Lake Mac one, it's all very eye catching, very very well done, very high
we're
quality
very lucky
content. I,
that,
I must
the
say.
animals do, I say 90% of the job. They're the pretty ones. We just have
Hey,
to put
anyone who's photographed animals knows that it's not that easy to do.
and this room has the worst lighting in the world. It's so bad.
Oh yeah, that's
So
tough.
bad.
That's real tough.
Yeah.
Um, Looking on your Instagram, I've seen some very impressive vehicles. One in particular set up specifically for snake shows and traveling with reptiles. Can you tell us about that? I might try and pull it up here if I can.
Yeah, yeah, that is my pride and joy. That's lucky. So I've got 2 cars. They're both Land Cruisers. We love Toyota. Um, and one of them specifically built for traveling, one specifically built for animals, which is perfectly what we need. So Lucky is the 79 series Land Cruiser. So we got that purely because it was the only car with a big enough tray to fit all of our animals without going to an American truck. Because we didn't want to go to
Yeah,
like a Ram or a Chevy or anything like that. Um, so we got a 79 and there we are. That's
that's
Lucky.
it.
Look at that.
Yeah, it is
It's
epic.
such a nice car. So that
Look at
canopy
that.
on the Chris built
Yeah.
that, which is
Oh, awesome.
sick. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he fabricated it, he welded it together and everything. I don't even know how he did it. I watched him do the whole thing and it still doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, so completely temperature controlled, fits all of our animals. We can take them away for 2 or 3 nights and they all stay perfectly like comfortable, everything. The pit fits in it, which is great. Yeah, completely built for animal shows, which is exactly what we needed. And then the 300 series, so Ziggy, he was what we needed to travel. So we love teaching people about, there he is. That's a good car. It's very clean
Damn
there. It
good
doesn't
cars.
look like. It does not. It's
I
covered
know the
in mud.
feeling.
But yeah, so we love teaching people about reptiles, like in a pit or in a captive setting, but it just wasn't enough. But the real way to show the animal is show it in the wild. And obviously, we can't take a preschool group with us to Cape York, but what we can do is take our car there, take all our filming gear, film the animal in the wild, and make these, they're pretty dodgy, but make these wildlife documentaries about snakes all over Australia. So our goal is to do every single species we have. So I think we've done 4. We've done green trees, scrubbies, crocs. Maybe we've done 3. I think we half filmed a red belly documentary, and then we never found a red belly, which was really funny.
Oh, good.
We went to Macquarie Marshes, which is like known for like being black snake country, when we
Yeah.
found not a single one, and it was really funny.
Classic.
Oh, we filmed an inland one, but I don't think we ever posted that. It's a really cool video. Maybe I should get to editing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I should get on that. It's got our old.
Whereabouts are these? Are they on YouTube?
Yeah, so we put them up on YouTube. As I said, pretty dodgy, but we did a really cool one. We did on crocodile management. So we went up to Queensland and spoke to a bunch of rangers, a bunch of people who work in industry, crocodile farmers, just people who live around crocs, like tour guides and everyone, and spoke to them about their point of view on crocodiles or crocodile management and everything. So that was probably one of the coolest ones that we've filmed. I also got to feed a 4.6-meter croc, which was a really cool experience.
Sick.
But yeah, so it's kind of touching on these animals where they live, because down here, most of the animals we take around, we don't actually get. Like we get a few local species, but your taipans, your blackheads, green tree pythons, scrubbies, crocs, they're not around here. So being able to go out, film them in the wild, show their natural behavior was very important to us, or is still important to us. Banjo,
It's like different tools
my
in the
dog's
toolbox.
vomiting. Hold on.
Oh my god. Oh.
Jesus. What a random turn of events.
Classic. The old dog spew.
Oh. Well, he's
But-
gone outside now. I think he ate some grass earlier.
Jeez.
But some
There is
people-
another.
My dog's thrown up.
Yeah, it comes in threes, doesn't it? What's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
There's another obviously massive positive to doing the remote shows or traveling, doing like the ag shows and that sort of stuff as well, is you can get like different sorts of people. You might get some bycatch, you know what I mean? Someone that might not necessarily go to a zoo and stand in front of a snake show, but they might be walking past, at the brand new John Deere, and then they'll see you standing next to it talking about a snake and go, oh, hang on, what's going on over there? So you sort of casting a really wide net, I guess, in terms of the public education sort of thing. Try to get as many people as you can that.
Yeah, we do a lot of four-wheel drive shows as well, which is great for us because obviously we love four-wheel driving, we love traveling, but four-wheel drivers are the ones who are outside. Like they're the ones going to these places. So it's cool to do shows, do those shows, because you're talking to people who have had these experiences, or they're like, I'm going in the bush. Should I be scared? And you can kind of chat with them and say, this is where you'll find this snake. Have you been to Chili Beach? Iron Range, that's where you'll find this. Taipans, they live near the Simpson Desert. So if you're on your way out there, you'll find them. So yeah, it's cool. They're really cool finding all those different demographics. Rather than people who go to zoos like zoos. They like animals. They're
Of
there.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's cool
definitely.
to talk to people who might not be a massive fan of them, but have just stumbled across it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think something we're doing in Australia pretty well is incorporating snake shows into these different sort of things. I don't know if you're cold calling these festivals as well, but We're doing a good job. The 4-wheel drive industry is definitely getting amongst it. I remember a couple of years ago there was a dinosaur festival in Cairns for whatever reason, and there was someone doing a snake show there. And yeah, I think Australia's doing a pretty good job with the inclusivity of snake stuff. Maybe some more cold calls might help it. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's definitely snakes are more of a topic now than they used to be, and it's in a better light, which I think is great because as the best rap, like the more positive media that snakes can get, the better it is for them. So yeah, the more shows we can go to where reptile shows might not be as common, I'm happy to go to them. Like, even doesn't matter where we are. I'll go all the way to Broken Hill if we have to. Like, I
Oh,
want to teach
not
everyone.
Broken Hill. I got no idea how far that is from Lake
It's like
Macquarie.
11 hours from here. It's like literally
Holy
the
shit! Yeah,
furthest you can go in New South Wales because we
yeah,
can't
that's
leave the state due to licensing.
of
Um,
course. Yeah, yeah.
like with animals. So yeah, it's further away than Queensland, which is funny.
How do you, yeah, literally, how do you go about doing shows in winter? Do you still do many?
Yeah. The show circuit itself, so like agricultural shows have a break in winter, but NAIDOC week was like last week. So we did a bunch of shows. We did one called Port Stevens Council. We do one every single year for Singleton Council. So I think that was like our 3rd year. And probably the most random experience, we did a show for Google, like the Google, which was sick.
That's
Um,
random. Tell us about that. What?
it
What?
was
What?
exactly, that was my thought. So we got this email and we got it on Friday, and like NAIDOC week started on Sunday. So they gave us 2 days notice. And we got an email and it was, hey, we love what you do with the snakes. We'd love you to come to a snake show. And at first I'm like checking for scams and I'm like, okay, what's going
For
on here?
sure.
Is it
Yeah.
Google? you know?
Suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a chat. And he's one of the workers at Google who is of Indigenous descent. So he's an Indigenous. And yeah, we went down, did a show for Google, had to take our snake pit in an elevator, which I don't know if you've seen, I'm sure you've seen photos of our pit, but it's 5 by 5 meters and like the panels are like 2 meters by like 1.5 meters. So taking 8 of those panels into an elevator in the middle of Google was the weirdest experience.
That's
And that
awesome.
place is locked up like Fort Knox. Like the amount of times we had to get security clearances to get in and out of elevators or like into rooms, there was a lot of like being like, hey, can you let us in? But yeah, that was sick. And I actually, right before we jumped onto this, I got an email saying, hey, we'd love you to come back next year. So we're going to Google again,
Oh,
which is awesome.
awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Obviously, you did a
But
good
definitely
job.
one of the most different shows I've ever done.
Yeah, for sure. So you're obviously like up a few stories or something in
Yeah,
the
I
Google
think
building.
yeah, we were on. They've got 2 offices down in Sydney. We were on, I think, the first floor, second floor. I don't know. We had to go 1 floor up, like there's ground, and then
Yeah,
there's, I think, we're all
yeah.
and we're in one of their like presentation rooms, and we did our show. Then we packed our pit down, and then right before we left, they gave us a little tour. That place is so cool. Like they've got snack drawers. They have a bookshelf where they have a bookshelf where it says like click. One of the books says click, and you click it, and the bookshelf opens. Like amazing. It
Yeah, that's
opens to
cool.
nothing, funnily enough. Like it's just a
Oh,
room, with nothing in it. But it opens, which I thought was cool.
yeah, that's neat. I like that the
Yeah,
number one thing was, yeah, that place is so cool. They got a snack drawer.
they do. It was full of gummy
I'm like,
bears. It's
come
so
on,
cool.
Kira, the bar's pretty low. It's got a
Oh,
snack
it
drawer.
does not
That's
take
good.
much to impress me. Like I'm like, there was a snack drawer there. It was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Hey,
That's all
that's an epic place to do a show. Have you got any others that like really stand out?
right. I
Google's
think
hard to top.
Google is hard to top in terms of like randomness and everything. But like I think my favorite shows to go to, I think there's 2. I love a preschool show. I love going to preschools because like most preschools when you're doing them, the kids are between the ages of 2 years old and 5 years old. And that's like prime froth territory. Like they're in love. Like they love the animals. So I love preschool shows because it's just the reactions you get from kids. You can say anything and they think you're the coolest person alive, which is great for my ego.
Oh, for sure. No doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt.
But yeah, and it's also so great because like we take our snakes and I put like a snake on the ground and I pretend that I'm walking out to the playground and I'm like, okay, I've just seen a snake. What do I do? And it's like getting those kids involved and saying, all right, don't go near it. Step away from it. Tell a teacher. Uh, so it's kind of, it's so important that those aspects and the kids are loving it. And I think my other favorite shows to do are the really like outback country towns. You just meet the best people. Like, most of the time, people are so nice. Like they're the sweetest people. They've got great stories. You get your odd one who's a bit yahoo or hates snakes and is very vocal about it. But that's part of the fun. Like you can have a chat with them every now and
That's a
again.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge. You can egg them on a little bit, like during the show, kind of be like, oh yeah, I'm like old mate over here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a bit of public
yeah,
humiliation. That's how you teach someone.
it's worth it.
I agree. But
Yeah, but yeah,
it's so when
definitely the
you
best.
go into a show, do you have like I guess a bit of a game plan on how you're going to attack things? And does that change, like obviously you have to sort of operate in a different discourse if you're talking to like preschool kids versus, an ag show. Do you have an idea of what you're going to do before you go into it, or do you just get up there and just freestyle it?
A bit of both. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
nice.
I kind of make it up. No, I don't make it up on the spot. So, like for ag shows and everything, we have the order in which we do the animals.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of start with Kevin. He'll come out, and then we'll do red bellies. So like we kind of go in order of least to most venomous, and we work our way up. So start with red belly, go to a king brown, then you bring out your death adder, your tiger, your coastal, your brown, and then finish with the inland, which everyone loves because it's like a countdown.
Hmm.
So there's an order, and there's basic facts you want to hit on each one. So you want to cover kind of where they are, what they eat, how venomous they are, their impact to humans and everything. But it's also great because people ask different questions each show. Like there's different things you can talk about, or if you're out somewhere where there is a brown, like a king brown, you can talk more on that. Or if you're in tiger country, or you're like, you can really change what you're talking about. And then in terms of like a preschool show, I've also got an order there. So I like to bring out the blue tongue first because even if the kids are a bit nervous, if you bring out a blue tongue, you can usually get them on board. Like
Yeah.
they know it. It's familiar. You start with that and you can kind of bring them on board, bring them on the story. And we always finish with the crocodile because it's a crocodile. Like,
It's a crocodile. Hell
have it.
yeah.
Yeah, you're going to finish on the crocodile. It's spectacular. So there's an order in which I follow, but yeah, I definitely do change my show for each kind of audience. I'm very lucky. I'm very good at talking. And I can talk to anyone. Like I could convince a mute person to talk, I reckon. Um I literally you could put me in a room with no one in it and I'll do a full show to myself.
Yeah.
Like I will just talk. Chris gets
Talk
sick of me.
underwater
I'm
with a
like,
mouthful of marbles.
genuinely, which is so funny. My parents think it's hilarious. I all through primary school and high school had debilitating anxiety, like could not talk. So I would not put my hands up in class. I would go the whole day at school without going to the toilet because I was too scared to ask. I wouldn't go to the bin. I would put like if I had an apple core, I'd put it back in my school bag because the idea of walking past people to the bin was terrifying. And like never did speeches, would not talk in front of anyone, nothing like that. And now you can't shut me up. Like my
Yeah, how the
parents,
times have changed.
genuinely, and like I've spoken to my high school teachers and everyone, and they're like, "You're a completely different person." And it all kind of clicked in, I think, year 11. I kind of just realized that no one cares and it doesn't matter. Like it was a very freeing moment of realizing like I can just talk, no one cares. Like
That is some
It's not that important.
life philosophical life lesson type shit. No one cares, and it doesn't matter. Literally, you
Exactly.
can say anything.
Genuinely. And like life's too short.
Not always, but
But it's also great animal shows. Like people aren't focused on me. They're looking at the animal. So even if I'm like nervous, like when I first started doing shows in industry, I did like my first job was working with sharks. So I had to do like 3 or 4 20-minute talks a day, and I'd never really spoken in front of people. But I just
get
look at
those
the
reps up.
animal.
Yeah.
Like if I just stand there and stare at the animal, I'm good. I'm talking to
Yep.
the animal. I'm not talking to people. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm very lucky I can talk to anyone, so I can adjust my show accordingly. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah. Totally, and that is a skill, you know, having you have a strategy with which animals you're going to bring out, and that changes with the people. But you also have to have strategies for like each person as well. We talked about this before we started recording. You have to sort of you have to have those interpersonal skills to be able to try to get your message across, and you've got to
Definitely.
understand your audience a little bit too, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because most of the time, like we spoke about it earlier, but like when people come up and tell you a bad story, it's not because they want like they're not trying to make you feel bad. They're just trying to have a chat, and that's all they
Yeah.
know how to. Like I'm very lucky. I've traveled quite a lot, so I've met all people from all walks of life and everything. So I have learnt a lot about like how people speak. My dad's a plumber, so not very talkative. So the tradies definitely helped me out in learning how to have a chat with like some of the oldies and being in the four-wheel drive industry and everything, talking to people in that industry because I am familiar with it. I can change my talk to talk about that, which is always great because it makes more sense to them when I'm like, yeah, the Forbies and everything. You can just
Yeah,
find a way to get
definitely.
on their level pretty much.
Yeah, it always sounds a bit like you've got to be a little bit cunning sometimes. Snakes can be a bit of a tricky one, so you've got to try to find your in
You
you're
gotta
in
sneak it
some
in.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Start slow.
Um, yeah, definitely. Now we said we were going to talk about some myths about
Yeah.
snakes, and you get some truly outrageous ones. I don't know how many times I've heard the story about the hoop snake. You would have heard about the hoop snake, no
Yeah.
doubt. Bites its own
Yeah.
tail and rolls down a hill. What
Yeah.
the? How do they even cut? Like, seriously.
There's so many.
What's the? Yeah, there's ridiculous ones. You know, the hybridizing between carpet pythons or just pythons and the pythons and the browns. They're hybridizing. They're they're not.
You
Actually,
have
I
great
don't.
Glenn.
Yeah, literally. I don't think they even say hybridizing. I think they just say crossbreeding. They're crossbreeding.
Yeah. There's so many good ones. One, obviously, my favorite one is when people tell me stories about like the size of the snakes they found.
Yeah,
They're like, "Oh, I found like a 3-meter brown," and I'm like, "Did you? Did you really? Like, what's going on
yeah,
there?"
yeah,
Or like even we were talking about before, like a 2-meter red belly. I'd still love to see one. Haven't had any
yeah.
evidence,
Show
but
us. Yeah.
I've heard so many stories. But yeah, one of the most common ones I think we get at shows is the whole, you've definitely heard of it, but like if you've got black snakes, you don't have brown snakes. And if you've got
Mm,
brown snakes, you don't have blacks. Everyone asks that question. Like
yeah,
it's so common. And it's like, well, in reality, they just live in different environments. Like you can have both, but
yeah,
red bellies are more likely to be near water and browns are going to
yeah.
be in open plains. But like, they're like, oh, but well, won't blacks eat brown snakes? I'm like, yeah, but a brown snake will eat a black snake. It doesn't matter. Whatever one's bigger.
Totally. Yeah. How do you feel about, and I'm sure you would hear this at every single show you've ever done, some geezer always comes up and has a story about being chased by a snake. How do you handle that one?
Every show,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
show, someone got chased down or all that. I actually, it's part of my show. I do talk about that, especially when I've got the brown snake out, because it's always the brown snake that chases someone
Oh,
down.
of course it is.
So the first thing I like to do is I ask anyone if they reckon they could beat a brown snake in a running race. And good on them. All the kids are very confident in themselves. They all put their hand up. They're like, yep, I got this. And all the adults are like, not a chance. And then I ask them, like, how fast do you reckon a brown snake is? What do you reckon? And there hasn't actually been that many studies on it because obviously it's hard. Chris and I
It's
would
pretty
love
hard to
to do
gauge. Yeah.
yeah, no, Chris and I would love to do some pseudoscience of, like, go out to a field and mow it down and, like, paint meter lines and then, like, get a drone and aerial shot of, like, a snake going and then, like, measure it. We'd love to do that. But obviously that's a lot of work. Maybe one day. But there are some recorded reports and everything. I think the top recorded speed I could find of an eastern brown is 14 k's an hour, which it sounds fast, but like the average person runs at 18. And I say to my shows, but like if you're sprinting for your life, you're gonna clock 20. You're all good. Like it's
Yeah,
not gonna
you're
chase
sweet.
you down.
Yeah.
But yeah, people often talk about that. And yeah, there's cases where snakes come towards you. Like, and most of the time it's because its safety is behind you. So one of Chris's first interactions with a wild brown snake, this is way before he learned anything about snakes. This is before he got in industry because he was taught to be scared of snakes growing up. But he was out in the bush, he like family property, motorbikes, camping, everything. And he saw a brown snake and it was moving pretty, like it was whooping, it was moving fast and it was coming towards him. And Chris, being the big brave Chris he is, he just stood completely still because he was terrified. And
Perfect. Perfect.
literally did not move because he was like, what is happening? And the snake came at him, but went like into a hole like a meter from his foot. And like the whole time, that snake knew that its safety was there. It had nothing to do with where Chris was. It just wanted to get in the hole. Like that was its safe spot. And some people understand that once you tell them. Some people are adamant, like, nah, chase me down. It chased me. And I'm like, okay. Like,
Good for you.
maybe it's not nice. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, great
I
one.
did a little talk recently and have had these interactions with people in the past where it's like, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong and your experience was entirely wrong, but 99 times out of 100, you just misread its behavior. Sure,
Yeah.
like, that brown snake might have chased you, I don't know, 5 or 6 meters across the pitch and then turned around and went the other way. That was, and that's it doesn't
Fascinating.
have, a voice box to tell you to go away or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
Leave me
that's
alone.
it's like it's bluff charging. But it's also fun. Like, I find it interesting because we are offering these people all of these sort of answers. People ask about, do they have territories and, do they chase people and do they do all these things? But then Mother Nature and snakes don't really give a shit, and sometimes they will just go and do the things that you said that they don't really do, and it's like,
100%.
yeah, well, yeah, it happened, and that's what it is, and my whole
Yeah.
talk was
Like,
bullshit. Hope you enjoyed it.
yeah, you can't be foolproof like 90% of, like, they're gonna do what they want. Like,
Literally, yeah,
we can say all these things and learn all these things about animals, and there's gonna be one that just doesn't care. Like, it's gonna do what it
yeah,
wants, whatever it wants.
totally.
But
And
yeah, it's always a great one hearing those
the
stories about getting chased down on a motorbike.
yeah, the communication's a funny thing too because, well, communication in general, but you're trying to get an idea out of your head into words, and then they've got to interpret those words in the way that you want them to. It's just,
Definitely.
it's a tricky one. I feel like doing what you do, you'd be always refining sort of exactly how you say things, to
100%.
try to make it as effective as possible.
I learn things at every show of like how better to say it. Like, between doing shows for like 2-year-olds and you've got to explain to them what a heat, like a labial pit is on Python, they don't know what that is. Like,
Boring. Yeah.
they're like, what's going on? But I try and use just everyday things or pop culture.
Yeah.
So even like with blue tongues, so their blue shows that they're venomous or like danger. And so my favorite one to use is like I go, oh, has anyone seen Finding Nemo? And like Dory, the blue and yellow fish. So blue tangs have a venomous spine on their tail, and that's why they're brightly colored, like to show they're venomous. So I just try and liken it to something they'll understand.
Yeah.
Thank God, Disney brought out Zootopia 2 with Gary the snake, the pit viper. So I just
Yeah.
tell the kids about that now. I'm like, that's what they are. Like, if you can bring it to common knowledge, like something they can relate to, usually you can crack it. Like usually it'll make sense.
Yeah, if it's too foreign, you'll lose them.
Definitely. Like even when I used to work for sharks, it's explaining kind of why they bite. So most of the time, they're just trying to figure out what something is. They're trying to think, are you food or are you not? So they do like a little test bite.
Test
Unfortunately,
bite.
unfortunately for a shark, the test bite does a bit of damage. Like they're just like,
Yeah,
or like babies, they do it too. They put things in their mouth. They're like, what is this? What am I figuring? Like, what is it?
yeah,
And snakes are kind of the same. Like they don't know the difference between you grabbing them and a fox grabbing them. So it's a bite. Like it's simple. But
yeah.
yeah, it's
Perceived
always
threat.
figuring out how to say it to people who might not know a lot about them. Kind of try and
Isn't
change
it
that.
funny how you love animals so much and then you just you spend your whole life figuring out how to talk to humans about it?
Definitely, yeah. The whole
You,
what's
you
the saying? Like don't work with kids or animals, and then I just do both.
do both.
Combine them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally played
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what I did there. Took a wrong
Yeah,
turn.
literally. Hey,
No.
anything exciting in the works? Anything fun coming up?
Oh, that's a great question. We just put on 2 new staff members.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so that's really fun. We are, yeah, definitely growing, developing. Um, may or may not be putting in some forms for some mammals soon.
Oh,
Um,
very cool.
not that they're reptiles, but still fluffy and cute. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely some fun things coming up. We're hoping maybe in the next year or two to get some property and kind of set up like not a not a large scale zoo, but more of like a small place where instead of going to people like schools to do shows, they can come to us and we can run private tours and everything. Obviously we've got some crazy dreams. Like Chris would love to build a massive glass house where we can house crocodiles. And any like crocs that need to be taken or anything like that that don't have like all the farms are full or all the zoos are full, like we could house them down here. That would be awesome.
That'd be
But that's
crazy.
long term.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, definitely some cool things. Like we've been doing heaps of podcasts. Hopefully sometime this year getting up to NT to do another croc documentary. So we did our Queensland one. Now we want to do NT and then we want to go over to Western Australia and keep talking about crocs because they're one of Australia's most well-known animals, but there's a lot of misinformation out there or a lot of opinions, I guess, a lot of loud opinions out there. Trying to
There are
mellow it out.
Yeah, the croc thing, yeah, croc management is just it's a polarizing thing again. Like particularly I think with people that work with crocs too, like it doesn't seem like anybody can sort of come to a general there's no general consensus. I think
At
it's just
all.
so many opinions definitely.
For sure, for sure. And, you know, the people far on the right and far on the left, they're really, really loud. But most people sit in the middle somewhere and they have like kind of a calm point of view, but it's getting that point of view out there. So giving those middle ground people a chance to speak, I guess. Getting that put
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I think that's important too. This sort of comes back to, you know, the snake shows and all that sort of stuff is the delivery of the information is always so important and you've got to make things digestible
Yeah,
and digestible for your target audience as well. I
definitely.
think is important too.
Yeah, make it understandable in layman's
Yeah.
terms, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. Hey, that's pretty good. I've had a good time chatting with you, Kira. Is there anything else you wanted to cross off the list, or are you pretty happy?
I think I'm pretty happy. You know,
Yeah,
we spoke heaps about snakes, talked about how they're not as scary as a lot of people make them out to be. I think one of my favorite facts about like snakes in Australia is out of the 100,000 deaths from snakes a year, Australia gets 3. Like they're in Australia, our education is becoming so good, but we just need to keep working at it. Like, over 80% of the people who get bitten by a snake were trying to touch it or like interacting with it in some way. So if we
Yeah.
can get rid of like 80% of people who think like they're the next snake wrangler, we could probably get it to zero. But
Yeah,
hopefully one day
literally.
we'll get there.
Yeah, I think what you guys are doing, particularly with the kids, is so important. I spoke about this at length with Snake Catcher Bronte in a previous episode, but teaching the kids
Yeah,
is so
please do let
important
us know.
because if you get the kids involved, they'll go home and tell their parents, and the parents are more likely to listen to their kids than some random in a snake pit
100%.
yelling at
Or
them.
when they grow up, they'll teach their kids better stuff. So
Yeah,
kind of stop
all the
targeting the ones who've already made up their mind. Focus on the youngins.
yeah, some of those older folks are, I don't know, getting towards the end of their their lifespan, I guess. Maybe a lot of those sort of strong opinions about snakes will
Interview.
fade out in the
Yeah.
coming generations. It's pretty
Yeah,
dark.
hopefully. Yeah, just a little bit. But
A
no, we
little
are
bit.
seeing the switch. Like even as I said earlier, even within the 5 years I've been doing it, there's been a switch already. Like it's becoming less and less negative. So if we just continue with that trend, what, 10, 15 years, maybe there won't be any deaths. Like maybe everyone will love a snake. Like who knows? Hopefully.
That's a nice goal.
It's a dream. It's a dream. It's a pretty
Yeah,
dream.
literally. Hey, thanks so much for your time, Kira.
Thanks for
I've
having
had
me.
fun. If anyone's looking for you online, whereabouts can they find you?
Anywhere. We're just pretty much Lake Mag Zoo on YouTube, where our documentaries are, on Facebook, Instagram. We also have our travel account, which is LMZ Goes Wild, so Lake Mag Zoo Goes Wild. That's where we post all the fun four-wheel drive stuff and travel content, which is always exciting to make. But yeah, and then obviously our website is also Lake Mag Zoo if they're interested in learning a little bit more about reptiles.
Awesome. I'll be sure to put all those links in the show notes. Thanks so much for your time again, Kira. And as always, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at joemac.uthl. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and following along. Cheers.
Thank you.